Hello and welcome to the video. Before we get started, if you'd like to provide input on future content and get our weekly newsletter, click on our survey. The link will be below. We also have a report on Ethereum 2, along with a bonus report on why you should learn Solidity now. Again, the link will be below. Now on to the video, and thank you. Okay, so to kind of close out the Metaplex server discussion, what I'd like to do is discuss this article by Artifact Staking that was on Medium. And this goes into great detail about how to set up your own Metaplex server in the cloud. But the first part talks a lot about actually configuring and setting up a cloud, getting a cloud server, getting a domain name, provisioning a virtual server. But what I want to focus on is a couple of things, particularly related to security. Before I get into that, I just want to mention they talk about Putty. Putty is a great tool that's used very commonly to connect to other Linux servers. So once you have it, you have to have your key to make sure it's a secure connection, and then you can just log in to your server, and you generally do get this kind of warning the first time. But a couple of things that are required if you are going to have and it could be a server on your own machine, is first of all, we're going to they talk about installing certbot. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the first thing is you are going to need a firewall. You want a firewall. You don't want just anybody coming in and being able to access your server. So here, what you're doing is you're allowing port 22, port 80, and port 3000. Port 3000 is a local port. Port 80 is when you're coming in from the internet, and then you have port 22, and that is to SSH, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Of course, we installed NVM. We did a lot of this when we were setting up our server locally. And then the next key thing is you have to tell the internet, make sure it's accessible to the internet. So the way you do that is, let me blow this up here. It's this diagram they have. So you're going to find let's see, see if they, okay. It's called a reverse proxy. So it will get it to your server, and you go here, and NX sites available in default, and this is what tells it how to do the reverse what can be accessed, etc. So you give it the server name, you replace that little dash there, and then instead of this try, they tell you need to basically say pass it through to the local address. So this is what it, so basically you're saying if they go here, it's located here, and that'll allow you to get it from the internet, and you can do that locally as well. Now, they did a little tricky thing. They did this without setting up the certificate. Again, you want the SSL because you want HTTPS, not HTTP when you're accessing something that is over the internet. And if you look at most, websites, most of them will have HTTPS. So what you have to do here is we installed Certbot way up here. Let's see. We installed Snap and Certbot way up here. So this is what's going to handle your certificate and what you're going to do is you're going to um, create your certificate, and then you're going to have the firewall only accept the secure traffic. Now, another thing they also talk about if you have something up and running is set it up as your node as a service, and so you take these steps here. You install this PM2 latest, and then you start it with these interpreter bash name it, but you start it with this PM2, and you're going to configure it to run it in system, and there you go. So let's talk about the keys here. The first key is if obviously if you're installing it not local, you're going to need to set up PuTTY, and they go through that. Once you get PuTTY set up, it's very easy, and it'll let you log into the server and do what you need to do on the back end. Then you got to make sure you have the application Certbot you need, and they also talk about Snap and so on. I believe my guess is that you probably need, let's see, this is what you need to get your certs. You must have a firewall if you're doing something like this, and this goes through that. You then set up your reverse proxy. And actually, before you start the machine, after that, you want to set up your cert and make sure that they can only use HTTPS and not HTTP, so it's always running on securely. You set it up to run as a service, and you will have an actual real server on the internet. One other thing, obviously, is when we did our experiments, we set it up to be to connect to a DevNet. In order to do this for real, obviously, you're going to have to connect your wallet to mainnet, not DevNet, and connect your server to mainnet, not DevNet. And you're going to have some soul. At this rate, looks like one soul will do you, and that's what you're going to need in order to get it up and running. So, none of this means anything if you're not connected to the main net, but you want to make sure before you are connecting to the wilds of the internet that you put in the security uh, steps, your certificate, your uh, firewall, and so on, so that to protect your site from hacking and so on. So Again, hopefully this has been helpful. This should close out our discussion on Metaplex. If you have any questions, or if you want to see other things like more stuff with maybe how you would personalize Metaplex, that's a possible topic. Just put it in the comments. Let me know. And one thing I'd like to see is I'd like to do is talk about programming languages uh, because we've seen some, and what do you need to know? What will the different languages get you? And anyway, so thank you for watching, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.